Hi folks, good to see you again here. If you want to hear the craziest stories and situations people have been in throughout their life, I suggest you to hit that subscribe button, you won't regret it. Let's bounce straight to the video. First story. Today I ducked up by falling madly in love with a prostitute. This may not be the right thread, but I am new here. So, here it goes. I 29 male met this prostitute 21 female. Let's call her Ashley approximately 4 months ago to acquire for her services. She's not the first I had. I've acquired said services from different walkers before Ashley, and none of them even made a dent in me. So know that I am not new to these kind of things, and I knew pretty much what I was into. It's important for me to tell you that I had a girlfriend of more than 3 years at that time, and our relationship was already going south. I was on the process of breaking up. And since I wasn't getting any ex, I decided to buy it from a prostitute. So I met Ashley, and my first impressions of her were she's really damn beautiful. In fact, I find her too beautiful to be in that industry for almost 4 years. She had the perfect physique for my preference and liking. But my guard was up. I made it clear to myself that this is going to be just X and nothing else. I was determined not to involve any feelings nor emotions in this endeavor. So we had X, and I paid her plus some tip. We talked and I found out she has a boyfriend. I really didn't care, to be honest, since all I was after was X. But there was something about the way we talked and how we go about our conversation. It seemed we knew each other for a very long time. Our conversations were very candid and there were no hints of deception. She was extremely honest about everything. And I was same to her. Which I find very weird, but in a pleasant way. Since most people I meet lie. And it doesn't matter who they are or what they do. They always lie. And I grew accustomed to this fact at very young age. I got curious. I did not know that this is when I ducked up. I acquire her services once a week. Slowly, my motivations shifted from paying her for X to now paying her for her time. I wanted to get to know her more and more. I took every chance I can get just to be with her. I met her friends, her siblings, her dogs. I love dogs, by the way. Her family, even her boyfriend. The more I know her, the greater the urge for me to find out whether or not she's lying. I believed everybody lies. And I wanted to know what lies she told me, if any. Usually, when you've been with a person for some time, you'll eventually find some discrepancies between their words and their status actions, hence I mentioned all people lie. I observe this to be true on most people. There are only a few handful of people who matches their words with reality. And I consider them valuable human beings. Ashley was of them. Her honesty towards me held true. I certainly did not expect this. Not from a prostitute. This time, I was certain I was in love with her. After that realization, I had a long talk with myself. I knew that time I was ducked. I was already deep into her. So I officially broke up with my current girlfriend that time. Dropped all my friends with benefits. And rejected all other Zool favor except for Ashley. I made myself available to her and only her. This is when things got messed up. She was still with her boyfriend. And this thought pushed me to edges of my sanity. I could not understand why they were still together. So yesterday, I confronted her personally and asked her to choose between me or her boyfriend. Long story short, she did not choose me. She chose her boyfriend instead. I felt like crying in front of her. But same time, I felt relief. I held it together though, and officially shook her hand and gave her our last kiss and hug. Then I said my goodbye. The whole encounter was civil and it was not dramatic. though she was obviously sad too. I am not going to disclose her reasons here, but I accepted them. I trust her for it. But obviously, I am still in love with her. Though things are clearer for me now. I still think of her most of the time. So back to the title of this post. What do you think is the best way for me to get away from this crap situation? Too long didn't read. Fell in love with a prostitute. Broke up with my then 3 years and plus relationship. But rejected me in the end. Hate to break it to you, bud. But all women in that trade who are worth their salt know how to sweet talk men. Most of the men that come to them are in similar situations as you, and you're probably not the first to fall in love with her. The good news is it forced you to take the hard step of ending a shitty relationship. Take it on the chin and enjoy your newfound freedom. Of course, she was sad that you discontinued your relationship. She lost a good client. A steady income with no effort or risk involved. No more standing on a street corner hoping for a wealthy John. Just give you call and get treated well and paid to just be there. Sad. I would think she and her pimp boyfriend were devastated. Second story. Today I ducked up by trusting an online prostitute. On January 16th, I met an escort online. She gave me her number and we texted for a while. I was 99% sure based on our text conversations that she was in fact a real escort and true to her photos. Plus her account on the website was verified. She referred me to her manager so I could arrange an evening together with her. I ended up paying $400 for her services. $300 for the hotel cost. And over $5,000 in security deposit, which I was told I would receive back as long as I didn't cause her any harm. I sent the money to her manager who lives in the Philippines via Western Union, and World Remit. Western Union wouldn't accept the money after a certain point because they suspected it was a fraudulent transaction. Shame I didn't listen to them. We were scheduled to rent a hotel the following night. I waited the entire next day for confirmation, but did not hear anything from either her nor her manager. It wasn't until the day after we were supposed to meet that the manager emailed me and said my escort had been terminated due to violating contract obligations, and I would receive a full refund. Later that day the prostitute emailed me and said her management took away her phone and she had to pay back her contract due to her termination. She sounded pretty heartbroken over the fact she lost her job and couldn't meet me. So I agreed. To help her pay back her contract, I sent some money to her treasurer in the Philippines through World Remit and MoneyGram. I see this money as purely as a donation and don't expect to receive it back. The manager eventually said that I will receive the full $67.50 refund via Western Union direct deposit in 3-5 business days. This was on the 20th, and as of writing this it is the 1st of February, and I have yet to receive any money. I have emailed both the prostitute and the manager several times over the past few days, and both of them have ghosted me. I'm starting to question whether I ever will get any of my money back. And I don't know if there's anything I can do at this point. As convincing as both of them were, I am 99% sure it was a hoax all along. Here is the full conversation I had with the manager via email. I've omitted some of the images and screenshots I sent. I'll let you decide whether or not it was legit. $67.50 is a lot of money for a poor guy like me. Too long didn't read. I gave $6,750 to a pimp in the Philippines who took the money and disappeared. Am still a virgin. Edit. Prostitute scammer just emailed me and said she's in the hospital and needs help paying her medical bills. Definitely not falling for that one. Update. Prostitute told me she is in the Philippines trying to process my refund with her agency so she can send it back to. I suspect it is a recovery scam. I honestly don't know what the duck up is. You wanted to get ducked. Clearly you got your money's worth. What? This is clearly not legit. There was no prostitute. There was no pimp. Both were characters played by the scammer, who is likely a guy behind a computer. Oh. Now you tell him. Update. Today I ducked up by buying a used phone number that belonged to a prostitute. Obligatory, this wasn't today. But I did just find out about this a few minutes ago. So about 10 months ago I bought a used phone number. Since where I come from you'd have to pay the equivalent of a third of my college tuition to get a new one. It was troublesome right from the very beginning. I was called by a random guy a few hours after getting it. And I was messaged a few heart stickers by a few guys too. To this day I still get messages. And if I don't block them, they either keep messaging me, call me in the middle of the night, or add me to their groups. Right now I've blocked 143 people on my WhatsApp. All of them spoke the same language, which was Oromo, according to the folks over at our translator. If you read my reply to one of the comments on the our translator post, I assumed they were someone very popular or beloved, because of the staggering amount of heart messages I get weekly. I was thinking maybe they were someone who went missing, and their beloved family were looking for them. Finally, a few days ago I had just found out about Truecaller. So I used it, and sure enough, it said in Amharic "love for rent." I sent a message to the email given, and they replied just a few minutes ago. And they were indeed a prostitution ring. I asked if the girl was alright, and they told me she left the group a good while ago. In hindsight, I should have noticed it. I kept getting voice notes that consisted of men whispering into the microphone. Sometimes they'd send a location along with a specific time as well. Too long, didn't read. I bought a used phone number and kept getting messaged by Oromo guys who didn't understand English. Ended up blocking 143 people. Only recently found out it used to be owned by a prostitute. Third story. Today I ducked up by accidentally giving a ride to a prostitute. Yesterday evening I was taking a drive through a mountainous area near Colorado Springs when there was a woman stopping a car in front of me. The car took off and the woman approached me. I rolled down my window to see what her deal was, and she asked if she could get a ride down to the bottom of the mountain where her friend's tire was getting changed. Me, being too nice, said hop in. As soon as she gets in the car, the smell of hard liquor filled the air. She starts nervously asking me questions and being extremely fidgety. I ask her where her friends are, and she says just keep saying I am not really sure. It's at this point I realized I ducked up. I ask if there is anywhere I can take her, and she says a supermarket. She then asks if I have a girlfriend, which I reply, yes. She then proceeds to try and hold my free hand. I tell her I am not okay with that. And then she asks if she can touch my leg. I pull over and tell her to cut it out or she can walk to the supermarket. She stopped and I dropped her off at the nearest gas station. She had money tucked in her waistline. I had no idea people take ex-worker up the mountains, but I guess it makes sense. Too long, didn't read. I tried to do a favor for a woman by giving her a ride down a mountain. She tried to hold my hand and grab my leg. There's ex-worker in the mountains. Fourth story. Am I the a-hole for not buying my girlfriend the gift she asked for birthday? This is throwaway account. I 30 male have girlfriend 28 female of 6 years. It's always a problem to get her something for birthday, so I asked her what she wants. At first she said she does not know and that some nice dinner would do. But yesterday she came home from work and told me she saw a very nice set of Japanese knives she would like, but it's a bit expensive gift. The knives were $254, which I think is nonsense to pay for knives since she is not professional cook. She cooks as a hobby. I told her I think it's unreasonable and that I won't buy it for her. She said okay, but was quiet the whole evening. When I asked her what happened, she told me I shouldn't ask her what she wants if I don't want to take it in consideration. I think it's a bit childish. She gave me one suggestion and I said no. It shouldn't be such a big deal. Also, money is not the problem. We have both nice salaries and are child-free with reasonable monthly expenses. We don't have any limit for the price of the gifts. For my last birthday, she got me summer trip to Turkey paid by some benefits from her job. So am I the a-hole? First edit. Everybody is very fixated on the trip to Turkey. Yes, it was awesome. Gift. I just wanted to say I finally got her weekend getaway to Italy. We live in Europe. She will definitely love, because she is in love with Italian food and culture in general. I ordered the knives directly from Japan, delivered for her in black design that will fit with our kitchen we made few months ago. And I will give it to her when we get back from Italy. I am not willing to risk my luck and carry it with me. I finally canceled the order, and I am gonna take her to store with Japanese knives I found in my country. Second edit. I get it, I messed up. But life-threatening messages and messages about how I should commit suicide are really unwelcome, and I will ignore them. Third edit. Link for the knives. According to some Redditors, it's a scam. This is getting really complicated to pick the correct knives. Fifth story. Almost all my Zool experiences have been with prostitutes. I am a 29-year-old man. A decent person. No glaring red flags. Though I am not very interesting. Not terribly ugly. In decent shape. With a good job. And I keep myself fairly well groomed. But I've never been good with women. I don't read their signals well. I am too fearful to ever shoot my shot. There have been 5 or 6 women in my life over the past 10 years who have spent a lot of time with, usually classmates in uni and post-grad, and who I've been totally in love with. Could see myself spending the rest of my life with. But I never had the guts or knew how to reveal my feelings to them. So nothing ever happened. They all moved along in life. We remained friends in ever more distant ways. They all got partners. And some of them had kids. And I remained a virgin until age 27. As you can imagine, I am completely addicted to touching. Just before my 28th birthday, I decided to just say duck it. And paid a high-end prostitute in my city to spend 2 hours with me. She was incredibly sexy. And very kind and accommodating to the fact that I didn't really know what I was doing. I had a great time. But of course it was also embarrassing and confusing and really shook up my emotions for a little while. Then a few months later, I was just going crazy with Zool. Frustration. So I found another girl and did it again. Then a couple more times. Always with a different girl. And each time was lots of fun, though expensive. In total I've been with 5 different prostitutes now. I've never told this to anyone. I know they would think very differently of me if they knew. Especially if I ever get into a real relationship. Is this something that I could ever tell my partner? Even my wife. Earlier this year I did meet a nice young lady on Bumble. And we clicked pretty well. She wasn't spectacular, but then neither am I. For about 2 months we were seeing each other regularly. And for the first time I had sex with someone who really wanted me. It was so much better. But in the end I would guess that we only had sex maybe 5 times. Then she told me that she didn't want a romantic or Zool relationship. So now we just hang out from time to time and experiment with cooking different weird dishes at each other's apartments. I value her as a friend. But I can't help feeling roundly rejected. Even more so than by the girls who've turned their backs on me. At first glance, this is someone who knows me well. Who spent lots of time seeing what's beneath the surface appearances. And she decided that I was not relationship material. That's painful to think about. So now I don't know what to do. I like spending my time alone. But I also want a meaningful relationship one day. I want to be open and honest. But is this just too weird and uncomfortable for someone to know about me? And still want to be with me? Have any of you people out there had similar experiences and can relate? Anyway, Merry Christmas everyone! Hope lots of you are getting laid tonight. I am going to drink a beer. Well, you have several choices. You can keep seeing prostitutes and living as you do. If it makes you happy, it is okay, really. Push through the social shame and ask yourself if this is really a problem for you or is some external source pushing you. If it is a problem still, you just need to go somewhere where nobody knows you. Throw yourself out there until you get the experience to understand crap. People like acting like there is some skill, confidence, or some crap in dating. But it really is just experience. You will probably come out empty-handed even after 100 or so rejections, but you will be in the same spot as you stated. Get it. It will get rid of your anxiety. Also, stop thinking about X and relationships as something special if you do. It isn't. It just doesn't feel like it, as our body wants us to breed. There are good relationships, and ones where you wished you were single seeing prostitutes. What do you want? It is ultimately your life and your choice. I think this is very understandable. I have a few male friends who were virgins until their early 20s and had never had any kind of relationship previously. For each of them, all it took was one solid date or Tinder hookup, and they began to get over their anxiety about ex-dating. Since then, they have all gained confidence and put themselves out there more. I wouldn't say they were particularly good at reading signals either, but they stopped caring as much. You sound like you've already gotten over a major hump by having a brief, but genuine sexual relationship. Good for you. I think that moving to a new area is not a bad idea. I also think that it's fine to see prostitutes, they are still women. Think of it as practice for the future, not a shameful behavior. However, you should probably cut back on adult videos, masturbation to the extent that you can. I find the easiest way to do that is simply not to have my phone on me and spend a lot of time with other people. If you feel comfortable doing so, ask your friends' family if they know any suitable girls. Also, you can always up your Tinder game with relatively low effort. Good luck, man. You aren't totally screwed. A lot of guys are much worse off, and at the end of the day, if you are in shape and make decent money, a girl is waiting out there for you. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.